Welcome to the Explainer. You can think of a company's financial health kind of like a three-legged stool. If you take away one of those legs, the whole thing just collapses, right? Well, today we're looking at those three legs, the core financial statements that together tell you everything you really need to know about a business.
So let's just start with a really basic question. When you're looking at a company, how can you really be sure it's as strong as it says it is? I mean, it's easy to get wowed by a cool new product or a really charismatic CEO, but the real story, the cold, hard proof, well, that's always in the numbers.
Honestly, the best way to think about this is like a checkup at the doctor's office. You wouldn't just take someone's word that they're healthy. You'd want to see the test results, right? The blood work, the x-rays. In the business world, those lab results are the three core financial statements. Each one gives us a totally different piece of the puzzle, and it's only when you put them all together that you get the full diagnosis.
Okay, so our first test is what I like to call the financial X-ray. It's just a snapshot, right? A single, clear image of a company's entire financial structure at one specific moment in time. It answers a really fundamental question. What does this company's foundation look like right now? And that X-ray, it's called the balance sheet. And the name says it all, really. Its entire purpose is to show a perfect balance. And it's all built on one incredibly simple but powerful equation. And here it is. This little formula is basically the heart and soul of all accounting. What it's saying is that everything a company owns, we call those assets, has to equal all the claims against those assets. And those claims, they only come from two places: what it owes to other people, which are its liabilities, and what the owners themselves have put in, which is the equity. It has to balance, always.
So think of it as two sides of the very same coin. On one side, you've got the assets, all the valuable things like cash in the bank, inventory on the shelves, equipment in the factory. And on the other side, you see exactly how all that stuff was paid for. It was either bought with borrowed money, those are the liabilities, or it was funded by the owner's capital, which is the equity. It's a great snapshot of the company's overall health and, really importantly, how much debt it's using.
Okay, so that was the snapshot, the X-ray. Now for our second test. If the balance sheet was a still picture, this next statement is more like a video. It's like a fitness test, showing us how the company performed over a specific period of time. This is the income statement. You'll also hear people call it the profit and loss statement, or just the P&L. And basically, it's the company's report card for a set period, maybe a quarter, maybe a full year. It answers one really simple but absolutely critical question. Did the company actually make any money? And the logic here couldn't be simpler, really. You start at the very top with revenue. That's all the money that came in the door from sales. Then you subtract all the expenses it took to make that happen. We're talking salaries, materials, rent, marketing, the whole shebang. And what's left over at the very bottom? That's the famous bottom line, net income. The profit. It's how we know if the company's business model actually works.
All right, on to our third and final test. And, some people would argue this is the most important one of all. This is where we track the company's actual lifeblood, cash. We're literally going to follow the money, see where it comes from and where it goes. So the cash flow statement does exactly what it sounds like. It follows the cash. And this is so critical because, and this is a huge takeaway, a company can look amazingly profitable on its income statement and still go bankrupt because it ran out of actual cash. This statement shows us the reality of the situation. Where is cash really coming from and where is it really going?
It breaks everything down into three buckets. First, operating activities. Is the main business itself actually bringing in cash? Second, investing. Is the company spending cash to grow for the future, like buying new buildings or equipment? And third, financing. Is it getting cash by taking on new loans or selling more of its stock? What you really want to see is a healthy company that's generating tons of cash just from its normal day-to-day operations.
Which brings us to the crucial question, right? If a company is profitable, why should we care so much about cash? Well, here's the deal. Profit is an accounting concept. It's an idea. But cash is reality. You can't pay your employees with net income. You can't pay your suppliers with profit. You can only pay them with cold, hard cash. A company that can't manage its cash flow is a company that's in trouble, no matter what its income statement says.
So, let's bring it all home. Just like a doctor would never, ever make a serious diagnosis based on just one test result, we can't really judge a company by looking at just one of these statements. We have to look at all three of them together to get the complete story.
So let's just put this all in one place. You've got the balance sheet. That's our X-ray, showing us the company's foundation at a single moment in time.
Then there's the income statement, our fitness test, showing if the company was profitable over a period. And finally, the cash flow statement, which tracks the blood flow, showing if the company is actually generating enough cash to survive and grow. Each one answers a totally different question, and you absolutely need all three to get a real, complete picture of a company's health.
And that leaves us with a final thought experiment for you. If you were forced to make a big investment decision and you could only look at one of these statements, which one would you choose? Would you pick the rock-solid foundation shown on the balance sheet, the profitability from the income statement, or the real-world survival test of the cash flow statement? It's a tough choice, isn't it? And it kind of proves why the smartest analysts never look at just one. They always look at all three together.